Hello,
Hey,
Jerome. How are you?
hey there, Julia. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm doing
Very
well.
good,
How are
thank you.
you?
I'm very happy to see you.
Oh, merci, merci beaucoup. Bonjour,
You
bonjour.
still remember French?
I, I see exactly what room
Yes.
you're in. Yes, that's the room. That's the room right there. I was telling folks one time, Julia, that never ever, and might I say thank you so much thanks to you and your hospitality and just allowing me to be an honored guest, in your home because I had never before been to Switzerland, but the love that I received not only from you, from your father, but also from just the neighborhood, everybody in the neighborhood, men, women, children, bonjour, 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 like everybody.
Yeah, you are becoming famous. Like
Everybody.
friends of my father were telling to my father, "Oh, we saw Jerome today." They were seeing you walking around. Very nice.
Oh man. It was amazing. It was amazing. I never had so many people tell me hello, on the street. Not out here in America, they don't do that. Where I'm from, they don't do that. They weren't even doing that in
Mm.
Italy like that, but in Switzerland, not even in Sweden. In Sweden, people were passing me by. They had places to go, things to do, people to see, stuff to, but in Switzerland, they were like, they made sure they went out of their way to acknowledge my existence, you
Yeah.
know?
Thank you so much for
Yes.
coming. It was so nice to have you here.
It was nice to be there. Is that part of the culture out there, Julia? Like, is that just in the air?
Mm, I don't know. Sometimes people say that Swiss people, we are very cold people, distant people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cold, cold, cold in what way? Because I just
Yeah.
felt warmth when I was there. What do you mean when you say
Um,
coldness?
I don't know because I think we are like sometimes shy people or we don't want to disturb, like we don't go to talk to people because we think, we want to respect them, to respect their space, their time. So we don't go easily to talk like this to people. But in small towns like mine,
Mm.
everybody say hello when they walk. People walk with the dogs and people. Today I was running. It was so funny. Today I was running and I was running in cycle in the sport place, the place I show you. And the first time I saw a woman, she was running in the opposite way. And the first time we say hello, and then every time we said hello when we were seeing each other. But at some point, she was running so fast she couldn't say hello. She was like bonjour. But every time we said hello.
So you say it got to the point where she was still trying to say it, but she was running so
Yeah,
fast. She bonjour.
exactly. Yeah, and
Like,
then I didn't see her again. Yeah.
wow. Wow. Did you say you were
No, I
both
was
running or
also
she was
running.
just
Yeah,
running?
I started to do more sport recently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what has been the resurgence of like that physical fitness, what's inspired you to do
Um,
more?
I think because now I am in a relationship for a few months now, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we wanted to start sport together to feel better in the body, and I never tried to work on my muscles, and I went for the first time of my life in a gym, and I used machine, and I went only once, but it gave me wish to keep doing. So I'm doing at home and in the forest close to home because there are different
Mm-hmm.
stuff to do it, and I like it a lot because um, what I'm learning is that sometimes you want to give up And at the beginning, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm able to have strong muscles because I never worked on my muscles. I don't want to be big, you know. I just want to feel good. And I started to do a little bit every day, and I already see the results. I do it only for like 2-3 weeks. And every time I see improvements, I'm so happy. Like I'm really learning that it's so important to have consistency, and even if we do a little bit every day, then we can see the results. So it's nice. I like it. Mm.
Wow. Wow. So even a
Yeah,
little bit, you know, it makes all the difference. Like even the small can
yeah,
affect
I'm really
it
learning
all.
this. And we saw a guy at the lake in Switzerland. There is a place at the lake in Vevey where you have a machine where you can walk outside in front of the sunset. It was amazing. And there is a guy that came to us and he was like, oh, you should not give up. And me, I thought I could never do it. And I did it a little bit every day. And then I was so surprised that I could do it. And I was like, oh, thank you. I really needed to hear this. And it's true. It's nice.
Mhm. Wow. Wow. So when you saw that guy, you're saying he was saying like so surprised that you could do it. Was there like what was it that you could feel within the person you
Uh, what,
saw?
what do you mean? Sorry.
So you said there was someone, there was like an encounter, you
Yeah.
went somewhere, you saw someone, or there was a
Yeah, exactly.
machine. Yeah, yeah. And what was it again that they said like,
Yeah,
oh, I was so surprised
because
that I could do it.
um, he was doing like a hard exercise when you put your hands like this and you go like this. And he said, oh, me, I could
Yeah.
never do it in my life. And I thought that I would never be able to do it. But then I did it a little bit
Mm-hmm.
every day. And then one day I was like, oh my God, I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I
Wow. So how
said
did,
it's nice.
go ahead. It is, you know, and to even see that reflection reflected out in another person, how do you feel like you related to them in that way where there was something that you never thought you could do, but then you were finally able to do it and find that level of influence?
Yeah,
Like, how do you
because
relate to that, you know?
me, I did sport when I was younger, but I never really worked my muscles. So, you know, I was always like when I was with friends, I was always the weakest one, and I was always like, oh, me, I don't have muscles. Like, you know, it's not for me, you know. But for sure, if I never try to get stronger, I will never be stronger, you know. So when he told me this,
Mhm.
I was like, ah, me too. Sometimes I was thinking like, ah, me, I can never do this. It's, you know, it's for other people. And
Mm.
yeah, I didn't realize I was also like this with my body, you know. Yeah, but it's like
Okay.
this for everything.
Okay. And
Mm.
hmm And Julia, what would you say were the muscles that you were working out before you started working on your physical muscles? Were they more like mental muscles or intellectual muscles? Because the conversations that I had with you when I was in Switzerland were very like deep and rich
Yeah,
and intellectual, and it seemed like you had really exercised your mind, you
yeah.
know?
For example, when I was learning to play harp, this I could really learn that, yeah, you do a little bit every day. When I started at 7, I was doing 15 minutes. My teacher said to me, do just 15 minutes per day. And for sure, I learned with time. But yeah, I think I was not confident with my body, and I didn't realize that um, it it was exactly the same for the physical body. It's not only the mind, it's everything is about just, you know, like it's not fatality, like, oh, my body is like this. It's, yeah.
Right, right, right. What do you feel like people, what do you feel like people underestimate when it comes to consistency, when it comes to, you know, you do something one time and you don't really see a change. It doesn't really like, you don't
Yeah.
really notice anything happening,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's why I like that this guy said this, because he said, "Oh, you will see." He also said, "Yeah, don't be too hard with yourself. And at the beginning, you will see you will not do it properly. Don't judge yourself, and you will see the results." And it's true.
Mhm.
It's yes. At the beginning, it's hard because you think, "Oh, I don't see the results." And what I liked with the physical body is that um, you see it quite fast, because you know it's a muscle. So if you move a muscle every day, you're gonna see a change. So I was like, okay, it's yeah, it helped me to remember this for my life. You know, like it's not because I just do it a little bit every day that it will not have an impact in the longer time. Yeah,
Right, right, right. It
yeah,
just makes sense. You know, the way that you put it, the way you say it,
yeah,
it's just logical, you know?
yeah,
It's like, how can there not be a change, you know, when you're doing it over and over and over again? And, you know, thank you for that reminder. Thank you for that message, because it's a timely reminder to remind ourselves that, you know, there's a saying, and I think you might have heard this, Julia, that we underestimate what we can do in a day, or we overestimate what we can do in a day, but we underestimate what
yeah.
can happen in several days. You know, it speaks to like you're one of the only friends I know, or the only people I know who has been able to do like mono fruit diets. You know, things when you just go on a single fruit like an orange or a watermelon, and you'll do it for days and weeks and months, just
Yeah.
one fruit. You know, and I was like, it blew my mind to see that. And you know, I asked you last time we spoke what you got out of that, because, you know, someone else might look at it and be like, well, isn't that boring? Like, you're just
Mm.
doing the same thing over and over. You're just eating the same thing over and over. You're not changing, but you can see the joy in your face, the smile on your face. Like, you can see that you're in heaven, you know? So, what inspired you to start that kind of consistency when it came to the things that you consume? You
Mm,
know?
I because I wanted to make it easier, you know, because when I started to eat more healthy, um, I was always like, oh, I need to buy this. I need to find good fruits. I need to blah, blah, blah. So then I was like, okay, let's make it easier, and just watermelon, and
Mhm.
let's do it for as long as I can. And I was feeling much better. It was nice. It was a very good experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And for people who have never seen you before or don't really know your journey, how long did you actually do that
I did
watermelon,
for more
you
than
know,
two
feast?
months. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Just watermelon. And what did you feel by the end that you didn't feel at the beginning? You know, how did that change physically or even just, you know,
So
psychologically?
physically, I was feeling very good because it was summer. And when it's hot, I'm just thirsty. So the watermelon is just water, like just liquid. So I was feeling physically, I was feeling very good, very light. I had a lot of energy, and mentally, mm, I was feeling very good. And you know, when you decide to do something and you really do it for a long time, you know you feel very good. Like because I remember I started this because I was in a group that uh, I think she was suggesting we do it for 3 days. So I did it for 3 days. And
Mm.
then I kept going, and yeah, you feel good, you know, to just follow the flow. And yeah, I was feeling very good, and it was just before to go to the tropics. So I was in this
Mhm.
energy of change, and it was good. Spending a lot of time in nature,
Yeah.
yeah, close to a river.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a nice time.
Yeah. Yeah. And for sure. And you're the one that taught me, when I came to that nearby shop and I seen these bits of technology in Switzerland that I had never seen before. And there was a machine that was just putting oranges, like oranges were just going through this machine at the press of a button. It was just like, like, and it was immediately juiced in front of me. Like, it blew my mind,
Yeah, I remember.
You were like, normal. They
Yeah,
don't have this. This is normal.
yeah, it's very practical. It's nice
Yeah,
to always have juice available like this.
super.
Yeah. And now in Switzerland, there is uh, coconut water that they say it's not heated, it's not modified, nothing, in bottles in the supermarkets. So yeah, I'm drinking a lot of this recently. Very grateful. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So along with the coconut water, we see you posting this one fruit. What is this fruit that you're posting on your story? It looks like I've never tasted it, but it looks almost like cotton candy almost. It looks very
Like
nice. What is
balls
this?
like this. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
longan.
yeah.
Yeah, longans. It's
Longan.
so good. It's very, very
What
good.
is
It's
that?
very juicy. And yeah, I think they got inspired by these fruits to create candies because it's it's very similar, very sweet.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's sweet.
yeah, very
It's like
similar.
candy.
Yeah, it's very good, very juicy.
Wow. Wow.
Longan,
And
yeah,
and you call it longan.
yeah,
Longan. Okay. Okay. Because you know what, Julia? When I think about you, I think of like Nathan Drake. There was this game called Uncharted, or you think of like Indiana Jones, or you think of these people that go in search of treasure, right?
yeah,
Like adventurers, they're thrill seekers, they're trailblazers, but they go off to these faraway places, these faraway lands. And I remember when you went to Africa and you just went
yeah,
to, was it the durian? It was the durian, just to
yeah.
find this fruit,
And I found it
when it
the
was in.
first day I arrived there. It was not the season, but they were on the market. My God, I was so happy. Yeah. And it was
Wow.
end of December, and almost during 1 month, we went to the island of La Réunion.
Mm.
It's not so far to Zanzibar, but it's more close to Mauritius. And it's an island, but it's France. And we went there to try the lychees because we heard it's the best of the world. So we went there for the lychee season. It was so good. My God, everywhere on the trees, everywhere, everywhere. Yeah,
Wow. Wow. And you met different
yeah.
Rafikis there,
It was
you know?
different than Africa. Yeah, Rafik is.
Yes. Do you see what I mean when I tell you that, you go off on these adventures, but you go in search of fruit, like the fruit is treasure, like you're
Yes.
going to find this?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really like this. And
Yeah.
when yeah, I'm eating a lot of fruits here, but the fruits travel a lot and it's not the same taste, not the same color. When you arrive in the tropical place and you have all these fruits on trees that you never saw before on trees,
Mhm.
it's so amazing, like it's when we arrived in La Réunion, it was red everywhere, just lychees everywhere, and there were also a lot of longans, but it was not the season. But yeah, it's really like
Mhm.
you find them. It's the color and the taste. It's so different, and yeah, it's truly amazing. Yeah.
Right. Right. And what amazes you the most about it when you discover something new or when you hear about something and you go and search for it or go on a quest, is it the texture, is it the touch, or even the taste? Which one do you feel you enjoy the
Um,
most?
I think it's to see it in nature. Like, for example, in La Réunion, I saw these huge plants that usually we find it in shops here. And we were walking in the nature and I was seeing all these plants and I was like, oh my God, it's in the real form. This is so, so powerful. And for the fruits, it's the same. Like when I saw the first durians on the trees, it's yeah, because here in Europe, it's really for sure we don't have these fruits, these plants. So um, yeah, sometimes we don't even recognize, you know, when you arrive in the nature, you don't recognize the real thing. So yeah, it's like a real meeting, you know.
Yeah. So a real meeting
Yeah.
and a real greeting, you know, with in its true form. I like what you said, real nature in its true form. You know, those words really strike me, to see something in its authenticity, to see something in its real form, because even when I was there, you know, when I was at the shop, you know, I wasn't picky. I'm very low maintenance, you know. So I was just looking around for just the juice, you know, just you were like, Jerome, what do you want? And I was like, oh, just I'll just have this, you know, or I just picked up a glass off the shelf and I was like, I'll take that. And you're like, what? No, 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 no. No, you the real thing. Like, no, no, we can't do this. We need to get fruits and make the juice. And so you personally, you were making juices in the kitchen like an alchemist. You know, you was like you were whipping up a chemical concoction like an alchemical potion. You were whipping them up and you were putting all sorts of love into the juice. I could taste all of it. And you know, you were like, no, Jerome, this is not real. This is, I mean, if you want, this is what you want. You know, you can have it, want it, but this isn't, this is the real thing. And so you really struck me about, okay, like having the actual juice, you know, from the actual fruit. So what about, you know, juice that has been pasteurized or gone through certain processes? What do you sort of avoid from those juices that you gravitate towards the ones that are in their true form or their real
Yeah,
nature?
yeah. I never buy pasteurized juice, or because when you used to drink this real juice, it's it's not good. It's like the coconut water that is pasteurized, or no, I I don't like. I like the real juice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it sounds like to me it's not even just the taste that you don't like, but it's almost like you don't like what it's doing in your
Yeah,
body.
and
Is that correct?
yeah, for me it's like it's dead. So I prefer to drink nothing, or you know, yeah, I don't like. I don't like. When it's fruits, it has to be good.
Okay.
But you know, also when you eat a lot of fruits, you become very picky, and it has to be very good. At the beginning in La Réunion, we were like, oh my God, so many lychees. We were so happy. And after a time, we were becoming so picky, you know, like, oh, this one is not enough red. This one is not enough sweet. It's not exactly the same size of yesterday. Because you know what's the best. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. When you talked about, Julia, about becoming picky, you know, becoming selective, becoming protective of your vessel, you know, of what you're putting in, what you're consuming, what you're intaking into your temple, you know, was there ever a time that you can recall that you weren't as selective or weren't as respecting your temple in that way, that you weren't as picky in that way and were kind of eating all sorts of
Yes.
things? Can you recall that time?
Um, so yeah, before to be conscient of this, I was not even thinking that what I was eating or what I was drinking would have an impact on my body, or on my health. I know it seems crazy, but I think most of us, it was like this, like we were just drinking or eating whatever. And then even if we had effects after, we were not even thinking that maybe was what we were drinking or eating. Like it was just happening like this. So yeah, since I started to, first when my mother was sick, I was seeing it differently, because as she was so sick, I could see that uh, that it had a very strong impact. and yeah, and today yeah, I'm still very conscious of this, but yeah, I try not to be too strict with myself, because at some point I was very strict, and it was even creating me more problems than when I was not conscious of this. So yeah, now I think the most important is that we know, you know. So it's, I mean, whatever I consume, I know what's is going to happen, and what it does to me, and I know when it's good, it's not good, and yeah.
Hmm. So you said the most important is to be
Yes,
conscious, like to
yeah,
be
to be
aware?
aware. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because when you said that it wasn't very good when you started to become very strict, you know, on yourself, how did you feel that you were strict on yourself? What gave you that indication that, okay,
So
I'm
at the
being a little too
beginning,
hard on myself?
so at the beginning, I started to eat raw food. So I was reading a lot about health, and people were saying you should not eat this. Some people saying you should never eat when it's not organic. You should not blah blah blah. And then at some point, I remember that, you know, sometimes I was thirsty, but I could not drink anything. And then I was thinking, oh, but drinking juice is not healthy, because in nature I would not have juice. And then I was thinking, oh, but this is organic, but there is still pesticide, and you know, it was really going too far. So when I was at the end of my travel in Zanzibar, I was with my father, and I decided to eat cooked food again, and to really, you know, let myself go, and forget all of this. And yeah, I really needed to see that it was not the end of the world, to just not being perfect all the time, because it was too intense. And you know, I was thinking about this all the time, and it's not healthy at the end to be like this.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for saying that, Julia. You know, your testimony is so pertinent. The idea of
Yeah.
perfection, right? Like, what is that idea that we think it has to be perfect? Because I think that everybody has a different idea of what that looks like for them. So at that time when you were kind of being strict and you allowed yourself to relax, surrender, and just let go, like at that time, do you feel like you were striving for that idea of
Mm.
perfection, or was
Yeah,
it something else?
I, my idea is that I wanted to have the more like pure body, and
Mm.
you know, like I can be very, very perfectionist. Like, for example, when sometimes I wanted to fast, so I was doing dry fast, and I was looking at the exact time I was starting, you know, to know exactly what time I would do it. And for example, I was thinking, okay, I cannot touch water. So, for example, if it was raining outside, I was trying to put a lot of things on me to not touch the water. So, yeah, for me, perfection is like, yeah, it has to be. I can be very hard with myself, you know. It's for this, for everything. Like if I write a letter and there is a little mistake, it's hard for me to not start it again, you know. So for the food was the same.
Okay. E-
Yeah.
Okay. 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 You said so even for those things, like when you're doing something, even if you just mess up or you make something that feels like, oh, I messed up, like a mistake, you're saying you have to do it all over again. You're
Yes.
like ripping up the page. So
Yes. So, you know, at the end,
okay.
it's not the best to do this. And with the food, it's not good, because, but I think many people that um, start to get interested in healthier food and blah, blah, blah. I think we have this time that we are too strict, and then we understand that it's okay. We need to find a balance, and you know, it's we all do our best. Yeah.
Right. Right. So when you say that finding that balance, Julia, do you feel like you're grateful for going to both sides of the spectrum? Because you've been on both sides of the spectrum. You've been on
Yeah.
either side of the fence. You've seen what it felt like to go to the extreme, and then you've seen what it felt like to just be totally relaxed and just totally complacent and just totally, not
Mm.
even really thinking about it. Do you feel you had to feel both of those extremes to finally find that sense of balance?
Yes, because so before I was not even thinking about it before to start to learn about all of that. And um, at some point, I was so much in my bubbles, like even people, I was not even looking at people anymore, because they were not living like me. And yeah, I was really in the bubbles. So to just let it go and open myself to other things, it made me realize that I don't have to choose one extreme, and I don't have also to want to stick to something forever, because I was thinking, oh, this I will do forever. And yeah, it's not healthy at the end. And I was taking things too seriously as well, because, at the end, we don't know what's going on.
Wow. Right, right. Well, so to be able to flow with change
Yeah,
and grow with change,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. To just allow yourself to, you know, to grow effortlessly and to allow whatever's there to be whatever it is. Yeah, without trying to struggle or to strive, but
Yeah,
you know, just to allow it. That it reminds me of your love for nature because you show us these sunsets and these different spots and these different places and locations that I've never been to. And what has nature played a role in that? Because you seem to, that's like almost part of your diet, is to really be out in nature, to be out in the woods, to be in the forest, to be around water. What do you feel like has been sort of a ritual when it comes to embracing
yeah.
nature in that way?
So I always loved nature a lot, and I think whatever um, we do in our life, we can love nature and feel connected with nature. But it's true that when you eat fruits, and especially at the beginning, that you start to eat like this, you just want to go outside. You don't even want to stay inside, and you want to be close to trees. And um, yeah, when you are under the sun and you don't want to eat something heavy, and you want to have your juicy fruits. And I feel they are also more happy, outside in the nature. And yeah, it really goes together, nature and fruits. It's the perfect together. It's yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect blend, a beautiful combination. It's coming from nature, it's
Yeah.
yielding from nature, and like they say, our nature. So to be able to have that bond with nature and go beyond with nature. Why do you feel like, conversely, when you were eating the other things and you said you weren't really thinking, you weren't really conscious, why do you feel like you weren't going outside more often or being in nature more often or maybe living more inside or indoors?
Because you know it's really not the same vibe, like to yeah, when I was not eating like this, it's so before I knew all of that, um I was not even questioning, the fact to be inside. And so you're more comfortable when you eat inside at a table, so it's yeah, it's completely different. But it's it's also with the fruits, you're better outside because you're very dirty when you eat. And yeah, uh, it's connected, because when you eat the different food, it's also food that is like it's more dead. So you know, it's you have less this wish to be in nature. It's it's not really necessary, like to enjoy a cooked meal. You don't want to be really in nature, like it doesn't. I think it doesn't really go together. Like it's more sophisticated, you know, like
Okay.
you want a nice place to be well seated and yeah, it's different.
Okay. Okay. So it's almost like your relationship with nature
Yeah,
changes.
yeah. Um, because I really believe that it's because we eat something that's more alive, and it is more alive. So you know, it's and all the people that get interested in fruits, we almost all have the same. You know, you we want to go to the tropics and see these fruits on the trees and take it with our hands, and this is also very different feeling. You know, when you take the fruits from the tree and you eat it, it's like much better than when you buy it. It's yeah, it's and you want to take off your shoes and go to work without shoes. You know, it's it's very nice what it does to your body. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So how did your relationship start to change when your lifestyle started to change? Because it seemed like you even went on one trip, maybe it was for your birthday. During your birthday, you had people around you or friends around you, or it seemed like you were all enjoying
Yeah,
fruits together,
yeah.
you know?
We went to London just to to find durian that it's frozen durian, but it's very good durians that there is only in big cities. So we thought, okay, we cannot go to the tropics right now, so let's go to meet in London and share fruits. And we say we are the fruit family, and we went all day to look for fruits and eat fruits together, and yeah, it's a very special link, you know, like when I meet somebody that loves fruits, we can really understand each other about it, you know, like because for most of the people, yeah, fruits is just like, you know, something they eat sometimes, and but when we love fruits, yeah, we love it so much.
It's interesting that you say we can really
Yeah,
understand each other, you know, because it's almost like you're on the same wavelength or you're in the same bandwidth, you know, you're in the same consciousness. For instance, like before I started lightening up, consuming different things, I was just around the same company. You know, I didn't know any different. I
mm.
didn't even see any different around me. You know, when I transitioned to things like going into vegetarian or going into vegan or even raw vegan, all of a sudden I started to see restaurants that catered to that. I started to meet people that consume that, you know, and then when I kept going and going and going, now I'm going to different retreats where people are, you know, they don't even eat, you
Yeah,
know. So it's like
yeah,
I never knew these
yeah.
people even existed, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's with this that it's amazing to think that um, when we are not aware of something, or when we don't put attention on something, it doesn't exist, you know? Like, for example,
Mm.
before I ate fruits, my dad never heard about durians. And now he sees it, you know,
Mhm.
on the TV. He saw in Thailand. He showed me the replay. Look, they have durians there, and yeah, it's very nice. I go to many places to try to find the good durians. So I talk to people that have shops of fruits, and yeah, it's a new world, you know. Of yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it reminds me of Aladdin. You know, Aladdin had this song called A Whole New
Yeah,
World, you know? It's like introducing people to things that they've never even heard of, never even knew existed, but they're right here, they're growing right here on this planet, you know? They're growing right here in nature. So, you know, it's a wonderful thing to find out that wow, there's so much more than you realize, you know? There's just so much more. And when it comes to finding out so much more in Switzerland when I was there in
Yeah.
Glan specifically. I saw bits of technology that I had never seen before. I saw machines, huge machines being operated with like little remote controls, you know. I saw all sorts of stuff. So what about like technology and, you know, in this digital age where information is going this way, technology is going this way, things are just kind of full speed ahead. What encourages you, gives you hope for the future, and just kind of inspires you for the things to come? Where do you
With
see
the
us heading?
technology. You mean
Right.
linked to food, fruits, or no? Like in general?
In general, just in general, like do you do you have high hopes for the future? Do you feel like we're heading into, you know, a beautiful time, or
Okay,
what do you
so
feel about things?
I try to be not too negative about this because I think technology can be very dangerous if it's not used in the right way. But I thought about you
Mhm.
because I remember that often you ask me, you know, what I saw, something like a new or amazing where I'm working, you know, in this engineer university. And 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
um, a man presented us. So it's like a simulator, and no, it's not like it's a simulator, and you can drive. I don't know if we say drive planes or helicopters, these kind of things. And you have really the things for the feet, and you have the thing, and you have everything. Like really, you are a pilot in a plane. It's exactly the same. And the man said that he was a pilot for 15 years, and it's very similar. And so he was showing this in a big screen, and he said that uh, it's very similar to real life. And at the beginning, I was starting to think negative. I was like, oh my God, why we want to go to fake world on the screen if we can, you know, just go on a plane, etc. And then he started to explain that actually they can create helicopter or planes, and then they create it in the real life. So, for example, he was showing one of his projects, and it was it was like a car that you can change the car, and then you put a thing of helicopter and it can fly. So for example, he said that you can change, for example, it can be ambulance, or it can be if you have a certain type of a person that have need emergency, these kind of things. So he showed us this thing that he was building it, you know, like really in real life. He could choose everything. He could do everything he wanted in this platform. I mean, he created it with other people.
Mhm.
And it's also this thing that helped a very famous Swiss guy that created a plane that just fly with the sun. So they first created in this.
Mhm.
So then I was thinking, okay, for this kind of thing, it's very useful because after he will be able to create this in real life, and he will know exactly what would be the problems, you know, because it's going to be the same in real life. So then he lets people
Mm.
try it. And we were like, oh, we want to go to Lausanne, you know, where we walk. And he said, there is the world in this simulator. There is the whole world. Yeah.
What?
And he can put the weather in real life live. He can put all the traffic in the air live. He can put everything like in real life. And all of this is used to then be able to, when he will create the thing in real life, he will know already what are the issues and the challenges. And so I thought it was very interesting.
Whoa. So what interested you? or piqued your curiosity with it? Because you experienced
Me, I
this
didn't try
machine?
because all the guys wanted to fly with the plane, so I just watched it. But it's they said it's very similar to real life, and I believe.
Okay. So it's almost like a simulation. You
Yeah.
can go wherever you want
You have to fly
instantly.
with your helicopter or your plane. It's really like in the real
Okay.
life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And what do you feel like really you enjoy about inventions like this? Like what about inventions like this kind of, you know, inspires you or gives you invigorates you, or do
Well,
you feel
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you
what I
know,
liked
in
about this
that
is
way?
that I think what's good is that we don't want to be stuck in this technology. We don't want, this is not the end of the project, the technology, but here the technology is used to be used in the real life. So I thought this is good. We should use technology like this, like to be able to uh, know how we can create things in real life easier. Because for sure, if you build a
Mm.
helicopter in a certain way in the real life, it's very expensive, and then maybe some people will die because it's gonna crash. He can just try everything in this
Mm.
technology. So I thought this is good way to use it.
Okay. Okay. So I have one more question for you, and it's about with the way that you use your technology, because we had, a
Yeah.
couple of discussions when I was there about about our advanced technology, our internal technology, and also just kind of tapping in with the gifts, the talents, the abilities, and the kind of things that you started to practice. So do you still practice any of those things that we talked about when it comes to, astral projection or lucid dreaming or
Yeah,
anything
so
like
I
that?
really wanted to talk to you about this today. I don't know if you know this, maybe you have already experienced it, and if yes, maybe you can share. But in 2 weeks, I'm going to try for the first time deprivation uh, tank. Have you tried it?
Hmm. The
Yeah.
sensory deprivation tank. It's like float.
Yes.
You're floating.
Have you
Hmm.
tried it? How was it? Because
Yeah.
yeah, I will try it just once to see how it is, but I'm sure I'm going to like it, and I will want to do it often. And I I think it can help me to experience, for example, astral travel, because I think what's the most challenging for me, it's to really totally relax my body and like detach from my body, like not thinking that I want to scratch or that I don't feel good. So yeah, I don't put too much expectation, but
Mhm.
yeah, I heard it's very powerful, especially if we use it, if we practice it, sorry, many times. So yeah, how was it? Did you do it only once or a few times? Okay.
Yeah, I've only done it once, and I went with a group of friends. We did it together. We went in separate rooms, and they had you,
Yeah.
you took off your clothes, and they had you do this thing where I think there was a shower right there, and then you got in the water, and once you get in this tank, the lid closes down, and you're just kind of buoyant. You're just kind of floating, and I don't know if it was Epsom salts or whatever that they used to just
Yes.
have your body floating like that, but you were submerged a little bit within it. So your ears were submerged, so you couldn't hear. It was complete blackness, so you couldn't see anything. And you're just there, you're just there floating. So it just felt like you were in space, just complete and total blackness, but you're just held. You're just kind of
Yeah.
in it all, It just embraced it in that way. It was different from, you know, my experience with Bufo. So I had an experience where I felt like I melded into everything, but that was someone who kind of ushered me into this. And she's a healer. She's also, you know, a sound practitioner, but she kind of ushered me into this blissful experience with 5-MeO. That was different from, but they kind of were similar in the way that there was no control. I you know, I wasn't holding on to anything. I wasn't hanging on to anything. I just had to go of everything, you know? I completely had to surrender. My body had to surrender. My mind had to surrender. And that made it a nice experience. I felt like if I was of the mind that needed to hold on or needed to grasp or needed to find something to latch onto or cling, it would have been something different, you know? I would have kind of been at war with my own mind. I would have been battling things. But since I was able to relax and let go, I was able to feel that flow and feel that peace. You know, it was very nice, you know, so I enjoyed it, you know, but I can definitely understand some people who might not enjoy it.
We need to surrender and to and to let go. But I still do it every night before to sleep. But yeah, I try to go somewhere, and but I you know, it's hard to know if it's really my imagination or if I really these last weeks I was going with an eagle. We say eagle in English, this big bird. Yeah, so the eagle was coming on my bed. I was jumping on the eagle, and I was leaving. But
what? Wait, there was an eagle that
you know,
came into your room.
I really try to imagine it very, very strong before to sleep. You know, he's coming on the bed.
Wow.
But I didn't choose. It just came like this. That was an eagle, you know. And I was jumping on the eagle and going, But I was thinking that with this tank, maybe it would be easier to work on this kind of stuff, you know, because I will be without senses, and I would like to be able to travel if I can.
Yeah, you know, they say that there's so many people who are sort of wound up, you know, inside. Like even people who have amassed fortunes, like millionaires and billionaires, who will go to these sorts of technology, sensory deprivation tanks, to be able to just, you know, kind of let go in the weightlessness and, you know, just kind of drift in that darkness and just kind of allow the load and all the pressure to just erode, you know, to just kind of get off of you and just release what no longer serves, what's touching a nerve, you know, just kind of letting it go and letting it flow. And it can be great to just have that mind dump, to have that, you know, that cleansing, to allow yourself to reboot, to restore, to be reborn almost. It's like a tank, and you're different from when you went in, you know, you're a different person, even within, you know.
Nice. I will let you know how was it.
Let us know. Yeah, let me know how it goes too, and just, you know, what you get out of it, what you receive,
and
you know.
And after, when I will come back from this is in France. When I will come back, they organize with the university where I work. They organize a fast of 1 week. So I decided to sign up, and it's the first time I'm going to fast with a group. So I think it's gonna be a nice experience too. I mean, we will not be all the time together, but we will share our thoughts and our experience every day, a little time together. So I think it's gonna be nice. Yeah.
Nice. Well, Julia, you're a veteran. You know, you're a veteran. If you've been here, you've done that. You know, anybody would find value in
Yeah.
your experience. You know, your testimony, because you've stood the test of time. You know, and it's allowed you to shine even more and more. The more that you've started to explore those
Yeah.
different avenues of yourself. You know, yeah, yeah. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for caring to share and just come on here and just let us know a little bit more about what you've been
Thank
growing
you,
through
Jérôme.
today and these these insights. Yeah, just taking the time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jérôme. And where is the flute? I don't see the flute
Yeah.
anymore.
You know it's right here.
Nice.
I keep it beside me, you know. This is my meditation before the
Nice.
conversation, you know. Yeah, yeah. So it's always here, it's always with us, and yeah, you know, it's definitely been a part of the journey. A part of the That's one thing that I love that you put on your in your bio, you know. You put something about the journey within or the
Yeah.
journey, you
The
know.
journey is in yourself. Yeah.
There it is. The journey is in yourself. How do you feel like that message, the journey is in yourself? How do you feel that touches you today?
Today,
Hmm.
um, ah, what do you mean with this question? Sorry. Yeah.
In the meaning of that quote, you know, when you put up there, how do you feel like you see that message in your life
Mm.
today? The journey is in
Because
yourself.
I truly believe that everything that is happening in my life, it comes from inside of myself. So who I feel, um, what I think, what I believe, it's going to happen in my life. This is I don't like to say that I'm sure of something, but I have so many examples that whatever I want, it's happening in my life. So it's everything is from inside of us. I like to believe this at least. Yeah. Mm.
I agree. I agree. So
Thank you
till
so
next
much,
time,
Jerome.
Julia, you know, thank you always, and we look forward
Thank you,
to seeing where you
Jerome.
grow
And you're
from here.
always welcome in Switzerland when you want to come back.
Much love,
Lots
much
of
love.
love, Jerome.
All
Take
right.
care.
Take care.